What is the stupidest way you have injured yourself? As a child, I wanted to play pretend and be a Gundam. I found two vacuum hoses and thought if I put my arms in them, they could be like cannons. I fell, tried catching myself with my now vacuum hands, and in the process broke both of my arms. Whoa, that is crazy. All I can think of is how crap it would be not being able to do things yourself. Whoa, that is crazy. All I can think of is how crap it would be not being able to do things yourself. As a child, I saw my dad shaving his face constantly and wanted to try it myself. Didn't use water or shaving cream, just straight up blade. Ended up shaving off a chunk of my cheek, done this to my shin, so I can only imagine how much pain it would be on your face. Ouch. At my job, we have these large bookshelves behind the counter with product on them. One day we were conducting an inventory count at my store, and I had to get on a stepladder to reach something on the top shelf. When I went to bring my arm down, I elbowed another shelf really hard, causing my arm to ricochet off. I ended up punching myself in the face due to the angle at which my arm bounced. The sudden force against my face proceeded to unbalance me, so I also ended up falling off the ladder. In all, I ended up with a bruised elbow, a busted lip, a knot on my hip where I landed when I fell, and a very battered ego. About a year ago, I thought I felt a spider crawling on my bare foot, so logically, I used my other foot and stomped the spider so hard that I broke my toe on the foot where the spider supposedly was. I did not find the spider dead or alive, so there is much doubt it was really there. Crossing my hands on the handlebars of my bike. I got my right and left confused. I leaned right and turned left. Ended up in a hospital, refusing stitches, with my dad showing me my bloody face to me in the mirror, asking if I wanted to stay that way for the rest of my life. I was 6. That is traumatizing. Decided it would be a good idea to chase a field full of geese. I tripped and face planted into a rock, which ended up splitting my chin open. Lucky it wasn't worse, but chins bleed like crazy. Discovered a technique to move incredibly fast on the monkey bars. Felt like Tarzan. After 10 minutes of straight monkeying, I didn't realize I shredded the skin in the folds of my fingers and palms. Switched to skateboarding instead. Snapped my board in half. Thought it would be cool to use them as rollerblades. Fell backwards into a support pole of the monkey bars. Fractured my tailbone. Hobbled a mile home with torn and stinging fingers, 2 halves of a skateboard under my arms, and bent over due to a broken ass. Dislocated my shoulder during a one-night stand. I was on the bottom during missionary. He was holding my hand and I went to shift a little bit and thronk. Dropped my phone on my face while lying in bed, turned around in pain and fell from the bed, then hitting my head on the ground so hard it bled. My mom really dared to say it's that damn phone. Got my blood drawn for the first time in the hospital's basement, and tried walking up 4 flights of stairs, started to feel dizzy but just kept going. Realized the door was locked. And instead of knocking to alert the many people at the front desk behind it, I decided to walk back down to the basement in a fit of increasing delirium. Ended up passing out and somehow fell down the 3 flights of stairs, bruised everything, but escaped a concussion. Wow, did they not have an elevator? They did, that's the worst part. Lamau. It was taking too long to come back down, and I just wanted to get out of there. Bad choice. I woke up halfway through eating a granola bar that the nurse who found me made me eat to raise my sugar levels. Apparently I had a full conversation with him, but I don't remember any of it before that point. Haha, that is brilliant. Haha. Hopscotch with my client. Very bad grade 2 sprain and a high ankle sprain. Heard a very loud pop and was in bad pain. Couldn't run or play hockey for 4 months. From hopscotch? Must take note to avoid that from now on. Haha, shit's fucking dangerous. Hardcore hopscotch is no joke. I broke my shoulder waking up from a nap. Got out of bed, wrapped up my foot in a blanket, tripped and fell into the door. Now I have metal screws and stuff in my shoulder, and a great story that always ends with, and no, I wasn't drunk. I had a bad trend of getting wasted and climbing buildings. I was climbing a water tower and fell off the ladder about 6 feet. I had to go over several high fences in pretty intense pain to get back home. I sprained my ankle pretty bad and had to walk on some crutches. Had to make up a story about twisting it in a legal, less shameful way to coworkers and family. No regrets though, I enjoyed every bit of doing things like that. I put my leg on the top of the stair banister to prove my flexibility and fell down the stairs with my leg caught in the banister the whole time. I rode a bicycle barefoot and ended up tearing off the entire toenail from my big toe. I was like 7. I obviously don't get injured very often, lol. I tried to kick a volleyball that was rolling towards me. Instead of kicking it, I stepped on it and fell forward, scraped my elbow on pavement. Fuck that volleyball. Wilson. I was going quite fast on my bike, braked with the front brakes instead of the back, flew over, fell on my hand, got a wrist injury that took 3 months to heal. I have really awful dreams sometimes. I was going through a hyper-realistic nightmare when I jumped up in my sleep and scraped off a ton of tastibids with my front teeth. I woke up with my tongue bleeding in burning pain and a wrenched muscle in my neck. That sounds frickin' intense. I was running down our hallway, tripped over my own foot and broke my big toe. Can't imagine what a broken toe would be like. Inconvenient, I bet. I was walking my dog and had a great thought that I could shut my eyes and she'd guide me home. I walked straight into a lamppost. I was sitting in the passenger's side of the car holding a long rectangular box of crackers in my left hand that was open at the top, with the cardboard and plastic sleeve sticking up a little bit. In my right hand I was holding something smaller. I think it was either my phone or a pen. Anyway, I dropped the small item and bent over to pick it up, lowering my left eye directly onto the jagged edges of the cracker box. I don't know if I expected my head to just pass through the box unharmed. Yikes. I tore off a quarter of my finger exiting the bathroom. I dragged my fingers along the wall like a lot of small kids do, but the door of the toilet slammed on my finger, and because I couldn't see what happened and could only feel this horrible pain, I pulled my finger away from the door so hard and fast that I tore off a quarter of it. I've been lucky enough not to be seriously injured, but I often walk into things like walls, doorways, and equipment at the gym, and I am usually covered in mystery bruises because of it. I can totally relate. Jumped onto bed to grab something off nightstand. Overshot landing and smacked the front of my chin on the corner of the nightstand instead. My top teeth went through the skin below my bottom lip. I had to get stitches and I have a fractured top tooth now. Not me, but a fellow I knew that ran a pub, carried a revolver tucked in his belt. He was cleaning up after hours one night, and an empty pitcher fell off a shelf, hit the hammer on the revolver causing it to discharge, and the bullet removed the end of his penis. Many drinks into the night, a friend dared me to hurdle over one of those construction roadblocks. Me, having never hurdled before, went for it after asking my friend to hold my beers. I got one leg over, but the other got caught, and I landed directly on my ass on concrete. That bruise took a couple weeks. Keg of beer fell on my foot and shattered a few bones. Years of recovery still in the process. Should have got a hand for that heavy fucker. Have you still got all your toes? Yes, crushed the sesamoids under my big toe and had a few other fractures. This shit is miserable. I used to run, but I can't walk more than a mile or so without it throbbing. One time I had a snowball and a refurbished World War II combat knife. I thought it would be cool to try and stick the snowball on the end of the knife and, I don't know, fling it or something. The snowball broke and I ended up just stabbing myself in the palm of my hand. Had a cut about a quarter-inch deep. The worst was that I called my mom on the way to the hospital, was hanging with friends at the time, and she said to meet her in Walgreens. She ended up patching my hand up with butterfly stitches and gauze to avoid the hospital bill. Slipped on ice and fell. Broke my pelvis in 2 places. Partially detached the tendons and tore muscles in my hip. My leg was dangling and useless for many months. Shot a BB gun at the ground and it ricocheted and hit me in the eye. One stabbed myself in the eye. With a corndog stick. Multiple occasions. 2 got excited opening big box of goldfish. Missed the box. Stabbed my thumb. 3 broke my nose. Mopping floors. 4 quarter-sized burn scar on my upper arm. Refried beans. I whipped it real good. 5 stepped on a rake. Received 2 black eyes and an egg-sized lump in the middle of my forehead. Attended a wedding the next day anyways. 6 shut off light. Open door. Not enough. Apparently. I know what my bedroom sort tastes like now. Blood, lead paint, and pine. 7 opened heavy wooden chest. Trusted the old prop-up latch. The headache only lasted an hour or so. 8 electric fence versus top of my head fence won by KO. Just to name a few. Touched a cigarette lighter in a relative's truck because it wasn't glowing and looked completely cool. I was in gifted classes. As a kid I was in gifted classes, and in 3rd grade I got bumped up mid-year to 4th grade. The first week in 4th grade I stapled my finger because I wanted to see if a staple could go all the way through, and they didn't let 3rd graders use the stapler unattended. Just a day in the life of a genius. Was pulling some overtime at work and was so tired I was kind of stumbling against the wall back to my desk when I misjudged the turn at the corner and somehow turned too early and just ran into the wall. Lesson learned. Don't do overtime. Walked into a spider web, was blinded as I flailed around flapping my arms like a drunken pelican, and fell down a flight of stairs. Got a concussion and some scratches. Now I wanna know what a drunken pelican looks like. Keep an eye out for me on the dance floor. Down the street while talking to the girl I was on a first date with, not paying any attention to where I was going, and caught my face on the bottom corner of a street sign, fell over backwards and dislocated my shoulder when I hit the sidewalk. Walked into a wall. Now I have a scar on my forehead. Scars are character building though. Do you tell the truth when asked how you got the scar? When I was 6 or 7, I was jumping over cement blocks in a parking lot for fun. Mid-jump, my foot caught on a block and my face went straight into the concrete. I basically rubbed the bottom half of my face off and chipped a tooth. I remember not really feeling much pain from the shock, but touching my hand to my mouth and seeing that it was covered in blood. This was at school, so a teacher freaked out and took me into a bathroom immediately after and washed my face and mouth out with soap, which honestly was the worst part of the whole experience. I had to get a filling in my front tooth which sucked too, and I also have a small scar on my upper lip. Luckily other than that it healed up pretty good. Weeks later I remember going back to the block I tripped over and looking for the little piece of tooth that chipped off. When I was 4/5 years old, a friend and I were playing in the pool and throwing this unicorn toy, and it hit me in the forehead, and now I have a scar. $63. How hard was this bloody toy? Haha, it was fully aroused. When I was a kid I went to a playground during a family reunion. Me and some of the other kids decided to play there, and we were having a great time. I saw some monkey bars and thought, what would it be like to run across instead of climb across? I did and tripped and busted my chin. I was taken to the ER, and the doctor said I didn't need stitches, and some sort of medical glue was enough to fix it. Years later and I still have the mark on my chin. As kids we are so resilient. Scientists still can't explain how kids are so indestructible. When I was around 5, I was swinging on a large gate at a park, and my head hit the pole. It hit right next to my eye, and if it was an inch to the right probably would have gone blind. The things we used to do when we were young, I was warned multiple times I shouldn't have done it and still did it. No regrets. When I was 8 I wanted to see if the stove plate was on. Instead of licking my finger to test this, I just stuck my whole palm on it. It was of course on. I was so embarrassed at my own stupidity I didn't tell my parents and took care of my own wound. Whilst cycling home from work a spider egg sac fell from a tree and burst on my face. 100 of the little bastards earned me in seconds. I crashed my bicycle into a nearby bush within seconds, legs and bicycle in the air with wheels still rotating. If anyone had saw it, it would have been pretty funny. The same thing happened a couple of months later too. I don't cycle that route anymore.